I'll call the Board of Equalization for the real property assessments to order. Sonia, will you take a roll call, please?
Yep. Commissioner Dibble,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Corbin,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Mayor Denner,
Here.
Mr. Farrell.
Here. We have the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. Second. Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Move down to consideration and possible action on objections to the real property assessment. Item number one, 316 North Lee Avenue. Mr. Dawson.
Commissioners, I am here on a couple properties of mine and then one for a client of mine, Mr. Kraus. I received 3 of these objection forms and we had a typographical error on one, so I'm not sure if I can get another one to fill out for your consideration today. I can do that after I take a pause. So the first one, 316 is actually the one that I would need an additional form on, so if we could move to the other ones. That's my request.
Okay, we'll move down to item number 2, the 636 East Center Street.
We have commissioners, just a brief packet, which is for both of these properties, 316 and 636. And folks, the gist of the argument here, do you need this form?
I will.
The gist of the idea here for both of these properties is these are floodplain properties. The tax assessment for both of them is over twice what they were purchased for. On 636, I pointed out in that packet that the sale price approximately a year ago was 31,000 and some odd dollars, and it's tax assessed at 59,000. This is a situation, certainly I want to pay my fair share of tax, but I don't think that the tax assessed value certainly outpaces the market value. Definitely not to that extent. So if you guys would consider that, I have suggested as a proposed value for that property, 37,500, which is above what the market would bear apparently a year ago.
You have a breakdown for your proposal on the land versus the improvements and buildings?
Yes, it's a floodplain property. In fact, the house just next to it was torn down as part of the FEMA project just this last fall. So I've got the land value is 5,000, building value 32,500.
What was that? The land.
Land I had at 5, my best guess. Building value 32,500, 32,500, I should say.
And it was formerly valued at 48,400.
I believe that's correct. This is the first year I've owned it. And my wife and I did do some improvements in it. Therefore, I mean, that's the reason I've deviated upward from what the market would bear a year ago.
So you're suggesting 37,
37,500.
and it was 48,400, as I understand it.
The last year, 2021 was Yeah. It was higher. It was higher. And I understand completely that the market change, I think there's been a lot of increases in property values through the city. That makes sense to me. However, I think when there's one so closely tied to a recent sale, I think it can justify that deviation.
So what are your thoughts on staying at 48.4?
Well, I still think it's more than what the market would bring for it. But obviously that would be a better outcome than the proposed assessment. And fair, I have other properties throughout town. I'm not contesting those. These two were flooded in 19 and the valuations are significantly ahead of, like I said, what I would call recent sales or the market. And actually, Mr. Corbin, I'm looking at the 2021 real estate tax to better answer your question. The tax value on that at the time was 54,835.
This is 636.
636 East Center, yeah. That's what I'm looking at here. Number one.
We don't do this all the time, so bear with us.
Yeah, I understand. No, and I should have provided more copies, so my apologies.
If he wants his copy back, just let me know.
Commissioner Corbin, were you comfortable with the 48.4 to go back instead of the 59?
Yeah, I would make that motion.
Second that motion. Okay. Any further comments or discussion?
So are we going based, I mean, was it average across the board like a 20% increase?
From my understanding, the equalization office is, most of the general public is probably where they've had large increases in their assessed values. For many properties in the city that would be residential in certain classifications, 20% was kind of what they were increasing the buildings on. And then outside the county, it was even higher than that. But for our purposes, it's largely to 20%.
And they're to be assessed at what level of sale in South Dakota now?
The state requires them to be at 85% or higher. In the past, they didn't make that threshold, so the state put a factor on 13.33%. So the state essentially would raise those values up that much to try to correct it a little bit. And now the county is taking upon themselves to try to correct it as much as possible. 85 though is what the state requires.
And you're saying the silver sale was about 37,000.
No, the most recent sale on 636 was for 31,000 and some odd change. It was a distressed property that needed some repair.
What would you guess you put back into it? Approximately?
$5,000 to $8,000, no more than 10. a lot of sweat. for them.
Non-billable hours.
I suppose so.
So your purchase price of that was 32,450, 450.
I have it, I guess, on the sheet there, sir.
Okay,
I believe I did
am I
circle
reading
it.
it right?
And again, I don't mean to misspeak. It's,
Nope.
I produced that there for the accuracy.
Well, we have a motion. Is there to take it back to the formal value of 48,400? Is there any other comments or discussion? Not hearing any? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. You want to go back up to 360?
Actually, I'll fill out a form, but I can do, Mr. Kraus is here if you want to proceed to that next one, and we can circle back if you guys are comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with it. So we'll move down to number 3, the 219 South Division Avenue.
You guys are ready to proceed?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. Mr. Kraus approached me about appearing with him at the equalization board to argue for a reduction in assessed value on this property. This property is obviously south of the highway on Division. It's a gravel road in front. It's near the livestock barn over there. The reason that we're requesting a deviation, and it is a bit of a deviation, I don't know if you call it significant or not, is more or less the real property, the land itself value. That number was at, I think, 30,700. That lot prior to Mr. Kraus buying it, he did buy it for about $1,500 6 years ago, but has done some improvements to it in order to build his residence on 1/4 corner of the lot. I think it's a fairly large lot, but it's mostly in the floodplain. The packet of materials I provided, I think, indicate, show that. I'm not sure how well it's produced in black and white, but a good half of it is in the floodplain, and in the 2019 flood was under approximately 6 feet of water. So Mr. Kraus is suggesting a downward deviation or adjustment of to $15,000 instead of the 30,700 on the land value. Comfortable with the building value at 201,700. That other land is undevelopable. It's even precarious to park things there, from what I understand. So even for its use as space, it's not particularly desirable.
I built this is a retired home that we put up, my wife and I, and we built on the only part of the property that's buildable. The rest of it is all floodplain. It's filled. It's has been used as a landfill over the years. And ever since I built my house, the taxes, the assessment on that other property goes up. And it is useless property. I can't even put a fence if I want to have a horse. I couldn't even put a fence on it. The lot where I built my house, it's about 200 by 200. That's out of the floodplain. The whole property. I probably got 100 by 100 lot. I made my yard.
The reason that we've asked for 15, after we're talking about this with John, is we think that's a fair value for if that were just a lot sitting somewhere near the floodplain. We know that other bare lots in town are being sold for more, but I would say in more desirable areas of town.
Clarify, you've got 3 parcels of land, right?
Yes,
And you're requesting the land value on the main parcel to be reduced?
on the other two smaller ones.
2 smaller ones, okay, so the 2
Back to-
north ones.
Yeah, back to about when I bought it, 5 or 6 years ago, because it's just garbage.
Okay, so you're not contesting anything with the main parcel where the house is at, just the north 2? Clarify.
2 and 3. Is what I.
Well, the main parcel where the house is actually was a city block.
Right,
And I'm going to get it separated, and I haven't got that done yet, but the only part of that that is worth anything is where my house is.
Yeah.
And I just want to, if we can assess that as a lot, instead of paying this, it's not worth $30,000.
okay, so you are looking to change the land value on the main parcel where
Yes,
your
yes.
house is at?
And,
Okay,
and that's the 15 and the 2017, right?
Yes, that's that parcel. And that's obviously the most significant request for downward variation.
And what are you looking at? What would you say for parcel 2 and 3?
Oh, what are they? They're worth, they went up 30% and 40% respectively this year. I don't know what they were taxed. A total of about $700.
I think the idea there is to request for them to remain the same. I mean, they are lots here, but as Mr. Cross indicated, they're not buildable, they're not developable.
You mean remain the same of what it was last year?
Yes,
Okay,
so last year they were $500 and $2,000, does that sound accurate? Sorry, I can speak up, they were 500 and then 2,000 for the 2 smaller lots last year,
That's what it was.
and then this year, the proposed is 700 and 2,600. Make sure we're on the same page, so you're requesting those 2 smaller pieces to stay at last year's. And then can you give the land value on the big one again? I missed that number earlier.
30,700, I believe, and it is, I believe, provided in the packet. And again, I should have more copies. I apologize.
30,700 is the request.
That is the assessed value 2022. We're requesting a downward deviation to 15,000
okay.
Even,
to even.
thank you. Adjustments. Yeah, you want me to come?
Yes, please, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, I had, just for us all on the same page, I'd reached out to the equalization office to ask questions on all these properties for some background. And they put deductions on properties based on certain characteristics of the land or otherwise. And for this property, they had deductions for the lack of streets, both being gravel for one access, and then there is right of way on the north and the west of the main property, which is completely undeveloped. And then adjustments for rough terrain and then being in the floodway. So the adjustments for the main parcel were 50% lower, and in the north 2 parcels, they were discounted 90%. Just passing that information along so everybody's on the same page.
The house was built, when did you say?
2018, we started on that.
I don't know, I have a hard time cutting the assessed value in half on the big one. So it becomes very reasonable. I realize you can only build on a part of it, but there's some advantages that I'll, private back there.
You can what?
It's very private back there.
Yes, it is. We've got quite a deer herd going back.
Yeah. I know. What's your, why do you own those two small lots? What are you gonna do with that?
That land has been in my wife's family for years and years, and part of the conditions of my buying the land, I had to buy it all.
Okay, no, that's a great answer.
Johnson family land.
That's, yeah, the Ponderosa is what.
Yeah.
John, you said you're trying to get the main house broken off of the two.
I will, yes, yes. That's been in the works. I had trouble getting a surveyor in there.
Can I see the packet now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, the packet's supposed to be different.
I'm in agreement with Commissioner Corbin, trying to knock that down in half. I would look maybe at 2 and 3 doing something, but item number 1. With all the deductions already. There any motion to obtain? Any more questions?
Does majority vote get this stuff, or do you need like an odd, weird?
It is a little weird because there are 6 members of the equalization board, but it's still majority vote. So you need 4 members to vote to do something. In the case that you can't get a majority to do anything, it just stays the same, and then you can move forward. Either party, either the equalization office or the property owners can appeal further.
So since we're the equalization board, not the city commission, does the chairman just break ties, or can he vote?
He votes in all cases. Yeah.
If the house was separated, the land was separated from the other 2 parcels, could they have it reassessed at that point? Do you know that?
I do not know. I mean, assessments happen every year, so I'd imagine, I'd imagine with a replat of that nature, the office would take a closer look at that. Yes. I had the same question, actually.
Yeah.
I recommend a motion to do whatever you guys deem fit, and then if they don't like it, they can always go to the county board too. This isn't the end of the road for them.
We make a motion to keep the one parcel as it is and reduce the other two back to where they were previously. Since we know that they are not, they shouldn't be increasing in value. There's nothing that can be done with that. So I'd make that as a motion.
Second.
Everybody understand that motion?
Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing any? All in favor, signify by aye. Right. All opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks.
We're ready for 316 North Lake.
All right, I'll be brief, folks, because this is a similar argument here. 316 is a property in a floodplain during the 2019 flood. There was water up to the floorboards of the main level. My wife and I actually purchased this from Merlin Pete Struy back in 2017. So the purchase price listed on Beacom is actually $47,250. I can tell the board that actually I wasn't unsure why we did that. They actually gave us $5,000 back at closing to fix the roof. So we paid $42,500 for it back then. And I think we're tax assessed now. I guess I've got it on the packet, well over $90,000. Obviously, this is a less recent sale, but I don't think the flood did anything to increase valuations between then and now. I think it's been consistently overvalued. I propose a total value of $55,000. Land value in that case is $5,000, because if that house ever is removed from that property, nothing will ever be built there again. And a building value of $50,000.
You mentioned damage from the flood. Did the equalization office ever see the property? Did they ever get inside to see what you're aware of?
I'm not aware or recall that they did.
So if there was damage, they may not have seen that.
That could be correct. I'm not certain.
What was the extent of the damage?
Well, I mean, the whole basement was flooded, so the breaker box had to be replaced. It had an electric boiler, which had to be replaced, a water heater, washer and dryer. Structurally, there was no damage other than, I guess, the power and the heat, which are kind of important.
I was looking at the map. What do you think is a suitable value of this?
Well, I would argue it's been consistently overvalued. I think 5,000 for the lot. It's a flood lot. Yeah, like I said, if that structure was removed, I think the lot would probably be worth nothing. And a building value of 50. It's an old home. I think it's a 1918 with an addition in the early 60s. It's my wife and I's first home here.
My childhood home.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
But what do you think it's worth?
I'm not sure it's worth the 93 that it's got on it. Because he was old when I was in it. But I don't know what value would be. It historically has flooded a lot. It's sitting right along the creek. That has always been one of the first, and if it doesn't come in, it comes in, used to come in through the basement floor, even if it didn't come in other places and things, so.
That was plugged before I bought it, and it came in the patio or the side door, and the
Okay.
windows. Maybe some sandbags could have saved it, but
At least with the filled, the walls didn't come in.
it's a good port basement.
Yes, it
I'll
is.
say that.
Were there any improvements that you've made to it since 2017, other than?
I replaced the carpet.
Other than the flood damage, I imagine that was related.
I replaced the carpet.
Oh.
It was, when I bought it, it had some seventies green shag in it, which my wife didn't find appealing, so I put in some newer carpet.
I was out of
Put
there
in a new
before that
fridge.
shag went in.
Sure. So it's got new carpet.
Ryan, do you know, does the equalization only give adjustment for floodway, houses in floodway, or? Is this one in the floodway, do you know? Yes.
I believe they do. I don't know what the extent the adjustments are, but based on my discussion with them on the other property, they have adjustments for floodway.
Right.
I don't know what that amount is though.
But you don't put it on.
I would assume for any property in the floodway, they would put it on.
I should mention, I guess, when the flood came through, it kind of took out that rock wall that you guys have been dealing with through town. Or kind of partially destroyed it. So I did go in and solidify that quite a bit. I think I poured a couple $1,000s worth of cement. Whether that was a good decision or not, I don't know. But so it should be shored up that way. I did make that improvement.
You're working on the creek wall?
Well, I wasn't working on the creek wall, rather at the space just above it
Oh,
is what I actually I dug a footing and went into my driveway. I dug a footing, put that all in there and then extended it over to the wall.
Jim, did you hear that? That guy's working on it. Where you at?
I don't,
Where you at?
I'm in the north end.
Yeah.
I don't think that bank's
I'm
falling
just
in
like
anytime
this
soon.
in there, same problem. This pencil just got too big.
What are you thinking, Tom, or what?
I agree on the 5,000 on the lot. It's gonna be, again, could have been a flood buyout lot with where it sits and everything. So I think the 5 on the lot sounds good, but to me, I think we're high on the house. I don't know, 50,000 though, that seems a little bit low for houses in the community right now. Maybe 60.
That's what I was thinking.
5 and 60. Does that make sense to the rest of the folks?
Glad you're here.
Me too.
You didn't happen to live at that other one, did you?
No, well, now you want to hear something really strange? I was 2 houses away from that one. I don't know whether he's following me around or what, but we were just north of the one that got torn down in Garfield, so. And we were hit, and that's why we moved. I guess you need a motion. I'll throw it out there. We can always defeat it 60 and 5.
Second. So just so we're clear. You were at 77,100. It went up to 93,500, and now we're gonna go 65,000. Right?
That's what I'm recommending you.
Okay.
77 is even high.
I think that's one of the things he was saying is he felt it was always assessed high previously. Probably chose not to appeal it.
I suppose you were right on the line, and when they went up, you're like, I'm going in.
Well, again, it's obviously I have other stuff in town that I haven't appealed. This has kind of been consistently overvalued and had to be here anyway. And I thought, you know what, I guess I'll at least let you guys know, I think it's a little too high.
Well, you did fix that wall for us. I appreciate it.
Do I get to wear a white hat out here?
I have an honorary hard hat for you.
Yeah, cool. A lot of sweat there
See
too.
Mr. Haig for that.
Yeah.
Does this value include this sliver of land?
I don't care if you guys, I mean, I think it was valued at 400, it went to 500.
Yeah.
You guys do what you want with that. I don't know that increased in value either, but I haven't included it.
I guess I would say just on the parcel is what we're dealing with. So I would say the 60 and the 5 would be the motion, leave the sliver alone. So I'll make that as a motion. Anybody wants to second?
I seconded that.
Okay.
Any further comments? Not hearing any? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks for your time, folks.
Thank you. Thanks for that information.
Bottom 5.
One more motion.
We got one more?
This and sidewalk.
Yeah, so each year, the equalization board reviews and approves the 2021 assessment roll. Sonia's got it there. If anybody has any questions on it, have procedural action.
You want a quick read? Two of them?
There's three.
Great
Great total.
Okay. They're being circulated. Okay, Jeremiah, what was on page 3, line 4?
Exactly. I knew that was gonna happen. And they did it.
It's like an assessment roll to me.
So, what, is there a motion on this? It just says review assessment roll.
My memory, I think there's a motion to.
Acknowledge that we review.
I think approved by the verb, yeah.
Make a motion to approve the review of the 2021 assessment roll.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I have a request from the equalization board before we adjourn.
I mean, is it on the agenda?
No.
Okay. Did you still,
Yes, I'll make my motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
We have one more there. There's two on the one. I'll call the Board of Commissioners to order. If we would all stand and face the flag, put your hand over your heart, we'll do the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sonia, would you take roll call?
Commissioner Corbin,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Commissioner Ditzler,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Mayor Denner,
Here. We have the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Not seeing anything under appearances or acknowledgement. We'll move down into consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed, motion carried. We'll move down into unfinished business, item number 1, second reading number 1643 to repeal and replace chapter 6 building codes. Ryan, did you want to?
So this is again to update our codes from the 2018 versions to the 2021 versions. And then we're also adopting 2 new building codes, the International Property Maintenance Code and the International Existing Building Code. The latter of the 2 we feel will be very useful for as we go forward with code enforcement of the city. Most of the amendments to the existing codes that were in place in the 2018 version remain the same. There's not a lot difference that we're proposing here, and nothing should be hard for our builders to get a grasp on, and there's no huge changes that anyone should be aware of.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the second reading ordinance number 1643 to repeal and replace chapter 6 building code?
Second.
Is there any further comments or questions from anyone?
Will this make it easier, Ryan, for Sioux Falls builders, out of town builders to come? I mean, just.
Yeah, it will. I don't know if Brookings has adopted the 21 yet. They may still be on the 18, but certainly Sioux Falls has. And with our amendments, we try to stay regionally consistent. We reach out to other communities and figure out what they have for amendments. Honestly, Sioux Falls kind of leads the charge. They have a ton of amendments that we elect not to do. And we have a few of our own, but mostly we stay pretty consistent with the region, and we try hard to do that. For that very reason, that way an out-of-town builder can come in and aren't too surprised by anything.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Not hearing any, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Ryan. Item number 2, Sonia, second reading ordinance number 1644, authorize the establishment of fees.
as noted with the last meeting, this just allows us to set rates by resolution as opposed to ordinance. As changes of things take place, this is obviously a little bit quicker and allows us to act a little faster when things are going on. That doesn't, we're not looking to change any rates in the resolutions following the next 3 items after this, but basically take our existing rates and just move them to resolution.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on the second reading ordinance number 1644, authorize the establishment of fees?
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Move down into new business. Item number 1, adopt resolution number 2022-09, electric rates and charges.
This is essentially our existing ordinance for electric. Meyer Henry helped us basically move those to resolution. Their bond council, the item that brought this to fruition was the SRF contract or the SRF application. And that we just needed to clean up some language, so we are moving them all to resolution. And so this is just a copy from our existing ordinance. It doesn't change any rates. We were making adjustments other than move it to resolution.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-09, electric rates and charges?
So move.
Second. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item 2, adopt resolution number 2022-10, water sewer disposal fee rates and charges.
This particular resolution does not change the actual cost of our, that goes out to our current customers. There are 2 changes in it from the existing ordinance. The first one is putting the surcharge as part of that base rate. You guys approved that last May, but it was not clear in the original resolution that that was coming from base charge, and SRF wanted us to clean that up. So it specifically now says in there of that base rate, $6 is for that surcharge. So it doesn't change what the base rate amount is. It just changes it says this much is designated for those bonds. The other change in there is our Lewis and Clark bond was paid off in 2021. We had discussed whether or not to make a change to the rate at this time, but with the Tyler conversion and the ongoing Lewis and Clark things that we are looking to do in the future, as well as the SRF contract, it didn't make sense to change it now and then change it again in a couple of months. So you'll notice the only change there is it just says now unbonded uses of those funds.
Thank you, Sandra. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-10, water sewer disposal fee rate and charges?
So move.
Any questions? I have one sign up for you. Item number I. Is that pertaining back to the chart for the surcharge of $6?
Yes, that $6 is referring to that sewer surcharge that you approved in May of 2021.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to double check. Any other comments or questions? Not hearing anything. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, adopt resolution number 2022-11, refuse user rates.
This is just like the other 2, no change in rates. It's just moving it from ordinance to resolution. You're not looking to change any of the fees associated with garbage at this time.
I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-11, refuse user rates.
Second.
I did have a question for you, Sonia,
Yes.
on the resolution, item number 3, 2 30-gallon cans. Is that something new?
It is, it was in the ordinance before. It just was not something that we've implemented. We just did not make any changes at this time other than to just move it to resolution.
Okay, and then also, we have a no cart. If they don't want a cart, are they still charged the $19?
I am not sure. All I know is if we charge that or not, I can certainly look into it. Again, that we just took the ordinance and rewrote it as a resolution. We certainly can remove things as a resolution going forward if they're not things that we use.
Any further comments or questions? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, adopt resolution number 2022-12, assigned fund transfers.
So this resolution was requested essentially by the Department of Legislative Audit that we handled reserve transfers through the resolution process as opposed to part of the budget process. It makes the budget process a lot messier. From the original one that I provided on Friday, there are 2 changes. There are no changes to what was discussed in the budget, just there are 2 numbers in the water section on page 2 that refers to, there's 508,000 and 400,000. Both were items that are again included in the budget, but they're part of that SRF package. We would not look to move these out of reserve unless SRF funding doesn't come through as we intend. But just so that this resolution ties to what was discussed as part of the budget, they are now included in there.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-12, assigned fund transfers.
Second. Any further comments or questions? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5, first reading ordinance number 1645, electric processing fee and after hours fee.
So we currently charge fees for delinquent accounts when they get to the disconnect process. And then again, for if they're reconnected after 4 o'clock or after regular working hours. This is not, we're not changing or looking to change any fees. It's more of a language change. One of the areas that our staff get harassed on is that it's called a disconnect fee. And sometimes we've gone through the entire process. We've sent electricians out to disconnect in the field, sometimes police officers with them. And we get blowback from people coming in saying, well, you didn't actually disconnect. I ran up here and paid it right beforehand. And we've already incurred all of the costs that's associated with that. So we look to move that to as a referred to as a processing fee as opposed to a disconnect fee.
So that happens, when does that?
When does it
What
get
triggers?
assessed? So if they, if payment isn't received at 7:30, the day of disconnect, that's when that fee is, processing fee goes on as part of a process within the system that puts it on their account. We do, just for your reference, we do send out a phone call the week before, usually on Thursday evening, to let people know that disconnect day is coming on the following Tuesday. We also send out notices approximately 20 days before that.
So if they don't pay before 7:30 AM on date of disconnect, they're gonna get this
$50 processing fee, correct?
no matter if we don't go out there and disconnect.
Correct.
Okay. I have a motion on the first reading ordinance number 1645, electric processing fee and after hours fee.
Make a motion to approve ordinance, first reading of ordinance number 1645.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Hearing any, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6, First reading ordinance number 1646, water processing fee and after hours fee.
This is essentially the same fee as the other, same wordage. I would, just for your reference, let you know that we do process all payments that come in overnight or before we start any of that disconnect process. So that is done right away in the morning before any fees are processed or assessed.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1646 first reading.
Second.
Why do we have this one? Don't we normally just disconnect power?
We do. There are a few accounts that do not, that maybe wouldn't have electricity. That's the only time this one actually would be used, is if they didn't pay their water. I imagine that they pay their electric, but it's again sitting in ordinance the way.
Is it possible to pay your electric and not your water?
You
Can I
could-
itemize my city bill and say I'm paying?
You could
electric?
come in and tell us to apply it to this and not this, unfortunately.
Good to know. Thank you.
We get a motion.
I made the motion to approve.
Could you second?
Can I say, did you say that?
Could you second it? Kelly?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Item number 7. First reading ordinance number 1647, authorize the establishment of fees, fines, and penalties by resolution.
This basically just does what the ordinance that we passed earlier does for rates. It allows those fees, fines, items like that to be set by resolution as opposed to by ordinance. We have many cases, if you're looking through that resolution of places in our current ordinances that set fees. That was one of the areas that Municode, as part of their legal review, and they're ready to start going through that with us. Fees is one of the areas that they're wanting us to make sure are updated and done beforehand. So we figured this is the time to correct that. And then it doesn't sit out in our ordinances for the next 50 years or 15 years until every codification is done again.
You move them out of the separate sections, put them in the schedule.
So there, the existing sections of the ordinances will say amend to be set by resolution. And then we will have a new resolution that sets those fees.
Thank you, Simon. I have a motion on first reading ordinance number 1647, authorize the establishment of fees, fines, penalties by resolution.
So moved.
Second. Any further comments? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Simon. Move down into item number 8, authorize the mayor to sign professional service agreement, Banner Association, Inc., design and construction administrative service, Madison Park Creek Wall, Site 3, Egan Avenue to Hearth Avenue. All right.
So this is an agreement to have Banner and Associates provide engineering services in the amount of $185,600. This is to provide final design of the Park Creek Site 3 improvements. Site 3 is between the Egan Avenue and Hearth Avenue. And there's been quite a bit of preliminary work done already to this. That's been accomplished in coordination with FEMA, the state, Banner Associates, and city. This agreement will take it to final design where construction drawings and the conditional letter of map revision can be applied for, and then we can bid the project. Weston Blazes with Banner Associates is one I think as well, but I would recommend approval, and I would be happy to answer any questions. I should mention that these costs are 85% eligible for FEMA and state assistance, with 75% being the federal share and 10% the state.
Thank you, Ryan. Do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign professional service agreement, Banner Associate Inc., Design and Construction Administrative Service, Madison Park Creek Wall, Site 3, Egan Avenue to Hart Avenue?
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Hearing any? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. 9, Brian, authorize the mayor to sign professional service agreement, Houston Engineer, Construction Management Service, Water Main Improvement Project 2022-1.
So this is an agreement to have Houston Engineering provide some construction management services in the amount of $106,000 on the Northwest 9th Street Union Avenue project. When this project was designed and was moving forward in the design phase, our department was structured a little bit differently. We had a city engineer and 2 technicians that were going to be able to provide some construction oversight. Now, with the restructuring of our department, we just have my position and an engineering tech. And this is going to be a very, very busy summer for us with this project, sidewalk project, 2 RD projects. If we have some rock wall work, we'll be involved in the chip seals, I believe. So this is probably the busiest construction season we've had in my tenure here. So I have concerns with how we're going to be able to adequately cover all those necessary projects. Brad's staff, Jan and his guys do a great job of helping us out on that, but they really can only help with the utility part of it. It really takes someone from my office to do the surfacing, the testing of the backfill, the compaction of the backfill. So those are, very intensive things that we have to be there to oversee. I think it's important to note that 39,000 of this 160,000 is for, or 106,000, excuse me, is for construction staking. So that's a cost that we will have anyway. Initially, that was planned to be bid and have the contractor provide a subcontractor for staking, but we've done an addendum. I think it probably saved us a little bit by having Houston Engineering do the construction staking. As the designer, they're more familiar with the project. I think we'll see some efficiency there. So one way or the other, that expenditure is going to have to be paid. The remaining 67,000 are the services that here we're going, unfortunately, fall short of. So this would be observation on a part-time basis with city staff still providing the remaining hours. I'm estimating the city will still be out there 30 to 35 hours a week providing oversight. But then this 67,000 would then be for an individual from Houston Engineering to help us out. It's possible we'll not need to utilize all of this. This is an amount not to exceed. Or we may determine that we struggle even with this, but I think we can make it work.
How did you decide on Houston Engineering as the firm?
So that was kind of one of Chad Collis's last things, was that he had kind of worked with Houston Engineering. He had some contacts there, and we get a lot of engineering companies that want to get their foot in the door, and we haven't worked with Houston in the past. And they had submitted a bid for design services, and they had done some preliminary drainage studies on the project. And so they got that design work.
Where's their office out of?
So they have an office out of Fargo. They now have an office in Sioux Falls. They just established an office down there within the last month. They've got, I think, 3 staff members there. And so we've been working with the head of that office a lot recently on both the design work and coming up with this agreement and the construction staking portion of it.
So who will be the lead PM? Are they reporting to you or how?
Yeah, they will. They'll report to me. Yeah. Because they'll just be working on a part-time basis. So This is resident project representative, but they still come to the city with everything. I plan to be the main person out on this project.
Be no different than our RD, where we have Banner.
Yeah, correct, except for on the RD project, Banner's providing a lot more services. They're providing full-time service. This would just be a part-time. And then we're gonna try to cover.
And you're comfortable with the handing off.
It works with Banner, you know, I mean, they have the RPR services and we do a pretty good job, I think, of coordinating all that and staying up to speed on everything. And they're very, very good at that. And I expect the same will be true of Houston. We haven't worked with them, but they're a very professional company. We've been pleased with them so far.
So remind me of the process of this. So it means it's over 100,000. We don't have to bid this out because it's an engineering service and that.
The professional services are listed as an exempt item from bidding requirements.
Thank you, Ryan. Do I have a motion to authorize mayor to sign professional service agreement, Houston Engineer Construction Management Service, Water Main Improvement Project 2022-1?
So move.
Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. All right. Number 10, review and award bid number 910, Water Main Improvement Project 2022-1.
So this would be awarding the water improvement project 2022-1. This is the Northwest 9th Street and Union Avenue project that we're talking about. We had two bids. The low bidder was Winter Contracting LLC at $2,975,000. We budgeted roughly $3.5 million. So this is under budget. And it was slightly under the engineer's estimate. We worked with Winter Contracting in the past, and I would recommend awarding this bid to them.
What other projects in winter?
They did Second Street. They weren't the prime, but they were the subcontractor for TNR Contracting. They did Southeast 4th Street, Southwest 4th Street. Probably forgetting a project. Yeah, they've worked it out quite a bit.
Successful projects in the past.
Yeah. This is, this project has a short construction window, and I'm confident that they can get this done there. They move along pretty well, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a motion to review and award bid number 910, Water Main Improvement Project 2022-1 to Winter Contracting LLC for $2,975,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion?
Under budget's good.
More of the.
Hearing any more questions, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 11, review and award bid number 911 Sidewalk Improvement Project 2022-2.
As the mayor mentioned, this is the sidewalk project bid. Again, we had two bids on this project. The low bidder was J&M Construction at $260,106.41. J&M is a local contractor who's gotten our bids for sidewalk in the past. Dan works more directly with sidewalk projects, but he appreciates their working relationship, as they've done a very good job and kind of know the ropes. And we both recommend that the commission awards this bid to J&M Construction.
What was the bid last year, right? Is that right at 199, I think?
I don't recall.
Make a motion to award bid number 911 to J&M Construction.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Hearing any, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Public comment. Thank you, Ryan. We have one Jim Thompson. Will you please come on up?
Actually, Ryan answered both of my questions for me before the meeting. But I do have to get on the agenda for the Board of Equalization. Rick Becker told me to come talk to you tonight. So how do I go about doing that?
As far as guidance, the Department of Revenue has deadlines in place, and the deadline for this year was been last Thursday. The local board isn't obligated to take on any additional appeals beyond that. I think you have the opportunity, if you want to schedule time later in the week, that does open up to future years if anybody wanted to come after that deadline, but it's up to you guys how you want to handle that. You're not required to handle any appeals past that deadline.
No, you're not required to handle any appeals past that date, but you are allowed to give an extension. The wife has been battling cancer since mid-February. She's home now. I really haven't paid any attention to anything except her health for the last month and a half. And I didn't even see my tax assessment until last week. And I was just wondering if I could get an extension to come to the next meeting for an appeal. The state had said you have the power to give the extension.
With the county, James,
Say again.
when does the county meet?
I do not know when the county board meets, but it's my understanding that without a local board hearing, it can't go to the county board. There's nothing
So we have
else
to
to
have
do.
a hearing first before the
Right.
goes to.
Yes.
Yes.
Because he has to appeal the local board's action or answer, and if there's no hearing, then he has nothing to do.
And that is it correct that would you have to have a special meeting this week? Because
Yes,
these have
yeah.
to be back to them within 5 days.
Yeah, the local board can hold as many hearings as it wants, whenever it wants, but it has to be this week, this 5-day period.
Oh, this week, we're not gonna hold a special meeting just for me.
Due to your unforeseen circumstances,
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we would meet this week to hear your case. We can always do it over a lunch hour.
That would be fantastic.
It's not like
I can put it together tomorrow.
We
If I have a
most
form,
likely
just to get a form.
So it'll be later in the week probably.
Yeah.
But I think obviously you're dealing with some situations at home. And I would grant that. I would make the motion to grant it, but it's gonna be second.
Make a motion of this public comment.
Yeah, you're still in open session.
Okay.
You're just setting another meeting.
Okay.
I'll second that.
What,
I do think you should try if possible as part of the motion to set the time and the date.
Yeah, we'll set the meeting for. You want me to make that part of my motion?
Yeah, I'd like, that would be best.
Noon.
Yeah, let's go Wednesday, the 23rd at noon,
we go a little bit later.
A little bit later,
12:30, 1
1,
o'clock. I'd make it.
that works.
1 o'clock. Can we attend via Zoom, James?
Yeah. We should do that.
Do you need to, Tom Farrell, does he need to be there as
We'll,
well?
we'll notify him, and he's up to him if he wants to attend or not. Hope he does. Yeah.
Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Is there any further comments or discussion?
posted by.
Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. I have one other thing to bring up, and Marcia and I had talked about this earlier. The city ordinance on all vehicles on your property having to be licensed. I typically don't license my license come up in November. So I typically do not license my camper or boats until the spring. Is there an issue with that? As long as they're licensed in the previous year?
I have not reviewed the ordinance on that. I heard some of this discussion before the meeting started tonight, and I just don't know what the ordinance is. But, yeah, I'd have to have an opportunity to review where it stands now and what it says.
Let us do that and then we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Announcements. You want to read the announcements?
Sure. Two announcements. First one is the voter registration deadline is March 28th. And then the next commission meeting is April 4th.
I'd like to share with the commission that there's been some discussions as far as recruiting lifeguards this summer. The idea of a $200 referral bonus for current lifeguards, other city staff to try to incentivize some employees to help recruit lifeguards. It's gonna be very important for us to hire another 15 to 20 lifeguards to operate both pools this summer. So we'd like to start talking to our lifeguards about that, so they have the opportunity for that. We can bring it up at a future meeting for formal approval, but if you have any issues with that, please reach out to me. But it's important for us to keep moving forward with that recruitment process for lifeguards.
That's getting nicer out. Sounds good.
It is 6:49. Do I have a motion to go into exec session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
That's right.
Cameras are here. See how much is there.
Just.
No, it's not gonna let you all on the outside.
Yes, we'll come back here and we'll put it in the agenda for that tomorrow.
Oh, it's supposed to be the other corner. Where's the recording?